I'm more of a feel player. You know, I can look you in the eye and just go, nah, you're bluffing. Well, you can't really do that online. So online, you have to focus more on playing the game well.
The winner got over $1 million last year, and I wouldn't be shocked if the 2008 main event winner clears $2 million.
It's like they're bringing the game to you, and what else can you ask for?
World Championship of Online Poker, only on PokerStars, of course. Get involved. You can also watch a lot of the action. Different ways for you to do that. You can watch live coverage of some of the events. That's cards down, similar to what you're watching now. Pretty exciting. And then you can also watch highlights of the big final tables. Those highlight shows are cards up. Pretty unique concept in online TV. And they're hosted by great people such as David Tuckman. And I do it. There you go. Tune in, guys, and get involved. We do like to hear from you. If you'd like to contribute to this broadcast, hit us up on nuts@eptlive.com. We'd love to know what you think of this play. If you want to analyse any of the hands, if you want to tell us what you think about the players. What do you think about this Fintan Gavin? I bet you would like it to be you. PokerStars qualifier now sitting with 3 million in chips in his first ever EPT. Who do you think's the main threat to him, Alex? The others are reasonably close in chips.
There's a danger, isn't there, that because they're all low in comparison to him, that they sort of wait for each other to take him on, so to speak. There's a slight danger of that he could really just steamroll the whole tournament now from this position. I mean, if someone wants to win, they're going to have to go through him now. That's what they've got to think.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to see a change of gears somewhere, perhaps from one of the other players. I can't help thinking that Rutenberg is capable of stepping up the gears. He's been quite happy so far to see other players drop out.
Well,
now's the time, then. Now's the time to go for the win.
It is. It absolutely is. I sort of get the feeling that he's been card dead and situation dead on the final table, because I know that it looked like he was trying to play quietly, but at the same time, I don't think he'd have ideally wanted to play this quietly, and we haven't, heard too much from him at all, have we? But he's probably the most experienced big tournament player. Certainly the most experienced big tournament player left, I think. I know. Davide Katai does have that bracelet, but Rutenberg's got a great track record. So we'll see if he does change gears.
Yeah, I get the feeling so far he's not chosen to go that extra mile in terms of that move, perhaps without a hand. I mean, we're guessing, but get the feeling he's played a solid game, hasn't he? I don't think he's taken too many risks so far. But really, now's the time, because otherwise it will slip away, it will be gone before he realises it, and that goes for the other players as well.
Have you been surprised by how snug the action's been, given the size of the blinds in relation to the stacks? Because they have been relatively short stacked for most of the day, haven't they?
Yeah, I think fear's been the dominant factor there, hasn't it? Players are very aware that as soon as they enter a pot, they could well be playing for their full stack. I think that has held players back a little bit on this final table, but all except Gavin, obviously.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because somebody in his position who's coming in as a qualifier, he was a short stack with about 15, 16 players to go, I think. It's the attitude to have. It's not always the attitude that you can have, right? But if you can have the attitude of nothing to lose, which of course he doesn't, already having locked up decent money, look at the rewards it can bring. He's played, a fearless, creative, aggressive game.
Yeah, you get the sense that he got to the final 8 and decided, I've made it here. Perhaps it was touch and go for a while there. Now I'm here. Now off I go, and yeah, let himself express himself on the table, which perhaps a few of the other players have done.
You don't know how many restaurants I've been thrown out of for expressing myself on the table. It's a continual problem. But no, you're absolutely right. He's played with personality, and he's not been afraid to talk during hands and act out a bit, and he's been great to watch.
I think that's what makes him comfortable, isn't it? When he's in conversation, even in hands. I mean, he shows a lot more cards than seems wise.
Right.
He showed a major bluff quite early on in the final table against Mercier, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised if that hadn't been pre-planned. I mean, you know, I don't know, so I'm just throwing that out there. It's totally possible that he decided to make a move if the opportunity presented itself early on and show it, because, you know, you're right, showing cards is generally thought about as not great, you're giving information, but it did make him a fearsome player. In the minds of the other players, he's shown he's prepared to commit large amounts of chips, perhaps where they weren't, and back his judgment.
Yeah, a player who's willing to do anything is not necessarily the player you want to go up against. Maybe that has worked for him. But I think you're right that there was perhaps a preconceived plan at the start of this final table, in that he did make moves. I think on Chartier he re-raised quite early, and on Mercier he re-raised quite early, the players on his right. So he quietened them down and then took advantage of the quieter players on his left. And I think it's worked out perfectly. If that was his plan, it was a good one.
Well, we are just having a temporary break in play as they've gone down to four-handed. Players taking a break. Alex and I will keep you entertained. What's your favourite ever movie, Alex?
That is one to throw in. Thinking of a family audience, first of all.
That's incredibly worrying.
Well, which player was it the other day? It was, his favourite movie was Basket Case 2. That got me thinking, certainly. That's an image to have at the table.
What's Basket Case 2? Horror?
I think it is. It's a horror film.
It's. I think I saw it on the buffet, actually.
We're using this motif, aren't we? We're really running with it.
I don't know why that's made me giggle. Quick, get some poker action going, because Nick's going downhill fast. What is this big shepherd's hook coming in from the right? It's going to get me. We've got 4 players left here in Barcelona. And if you'd like to comment on the 4 players or any of the play you've seen, nuts@eptlive.com is where you can do it. And we've got a big chip stack, 3 million chips more or less for Fintan Gavin. The next man, Davide Katai, sitting on 1.3 million chips. And Daniel Matzia, who's been short stacked all day. Amazing job of hanging on.
He's been a survivor, hasn't he, on this table?
He really is. Much to the delight of the raucous Italian fan club that he's got with him. And Sebastian Ruthenberg is 4th.
Shall I talk about from watching a TV screen, my amateur attempt at picking up a tell on Matzia? Is it appropriate to bring that up? I noticed when he showed an ace jack a little bit earlier, about an hour ago. Showed an ace, and I'll continue that in a minute.
Continue that in a minute. Hold that thought. That'll make them come back.
It certainly will.
What better way to celebrate our 5th season of the EPT than to take a look back through the PokerStars.com European Poker Tour archives. Coming up, the top 5 rubdowns. Poker can be frustrating at the best of times, but mostly well-mannered. Mostly. After a lucky river for eventual Dublin champion Roland de Wolf, PokerStars team pro William Dawson felt it best to explain that he didn't fully approve of the way de Wolf had played the hand.
He's so amazing bad.
Roland shows King 3 of diamonds.
De Wolf wasn't rising to the bait, so Thorson cast him another line.
Fish. It's like a donk play. Raise when he's behind and check when he's ahead.
The PokerStars Caribbean adventure last year introduced us to a new bunch of characters, one of whom was American James D'Ambrosio, straight